Bronny James finishes with 30 points in 25 minutes.
I just want to play. It's the main thing. Get some work done, and I just want to play.
Welcome back to my Bronny James channel. Well, we like to bring you guys an update on Bronny James at least once every 3 weeks or anything something significant happens. And in this particular instance, something significant did happen as things are looking significantly more promising for Bronny James. Now, before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest and greatest NBA news to your device. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. So we're pretty much being given free money again. You remember on Thanksgiving when Tyreek Hill needed 1 receiving yard and then we just need to make 1 correct prediction to 3x our money, and we hit on Thanksgiving, and now all Patrick Mahomes needs is 1 passing yard versus the Cleveland Browns. So we only need to make 1 prediction to 3x our money again. To take advantage of this opportunity, click the link in the description down below or use my promo code microphone when you sign up for PrizePicks to get a free $50 when you make a play of $5 or more. Now, unfortunately, I already 3x'd my money. Yeah, I paired Patrick Mahomes with Josh Allen throwing for over 242 passing yards versus the LA Rams, and could you blame me? The Rams are one of the worst passing defenses in the entire league, and I was certain this was gonna hit. Now, I posted this pick onto my Instagram story, so if you followed me on Instagram, you would have seen that pick, but if you didn't, don't worry. I still make plenty of picks on a daily basis for you to pair the Patrick Mahomes free square with another one of my favorite picks for this upcoming weekend, and I have a pretty good track record of hitting whenever we have a free square. So make sure you use my promo code microphone when you sign up for PrizePicks to get a free $50 when you make a play of $5 or more, and hurry up and sign up before they move the lines because we want to take advantage of the odds we have. And thank you PrizePicks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Bronny James's entrance in the NBA made things very interesting and very unique for the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. I mean, a few days ago fans were talking about whether or not LeBron James could get traded to the Golden State Warriors, and immediately I countered with, how could LeBron James get traded to the Golden State Warriors? Cap issues aside, because it'd be very difficult to acquire him given that the Warriors would have to match salary cap to make the trade go through. But also, do you think LeBron is just going to leave Bronny in Los Angeles after he pulled some strings to get him drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2nd round? Upon Bronny getting drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers, I told you guys that I personally didn't care that much. I mean, he was a 2nd round pick. There were 5 picks remaining in the NBA draft. Usually the 55th pick in the NBA draft doesn't turn out to be anything significant, but in my opinion it was the execution of it all. I mean, originally Bronny would show up to the draft combine and said that he's focused on putting in the work and he doesn't want anything to be handed to him.
You know, I put in the work and stuff like that to get back, so I feel like I've earned the opportunity. Putting that Bronny James narrative out there more is, instead of, you know, just being LeBron James' son.
He only wanted to be drafted if he was good enough to be drafted.
This is a serious business, and I don't feel like there would be like a thought of, I'm just drafting this kid just because of I'm gonna get his dad. Like, I think I've put in the work and I'd get drafted because of the person, not only the player, but the person that I am.
And then after LeBron James spending a large portion of his time saying that it's his lifelong dream to make sure that he plays with his son in the NBA.
Where do you want to play?
Bronny is number 1 on my fucking list.
No, I mean, he would say this a lot, by the way.
I want him to get to the NBA. I want to be on the same. I want to be on the court with him. I think that would be an unbelievable moment.
LeBron would flip-flop on his own stance and say that my son is his own man.
But at the end of the day, Bronny's his own man, and he has some tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
And when he's ready to make those decisions, he'll let us all know. But as his family, we're going to support whatever he does.
I don't have any issue with Bronny. It's just, in the past, I've said that if Bronny really wanted to be his own man and he wanted his own lane into the NBA and he wanted to develop as a basketball player, then he would have stayed for another year at USC. He would have worked on his craft. He would have gotten drafted into the NBA draft the legitimate way. But instead, as a result of a cardiac arrest that Bronny suffered, which thankfully he's okay, Bronny put together some some pretty terrible tape at USC, averaging 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, shooting 36% from the field, 27% from three. So ultimately, his dad had to pull some strings to get him drafted by the Lakers. But even once he got drafted by the Lakers, the execution was terrible. I mean, I am never going to stop showing you this clip of JJ Redick lying to all of Laker Nation.
Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this through hard work.
And believe me, I'm very happy for the kid. It's just the execution of this was very poor. And I think that was my whole issue with Bronny's entrance into the NBA. I think it's a cool opportunity to be able to play with your dad, who some people think is the greatest player of all time, depending on who you ask. But if we're focused on making Bronny a good basketball player, the way the Los Angeles Lakers have been going about it so far doesn't have Bronny's best interest in mind. And I think that's what bothered me the most. Unless if you ask Skip Bayless, who believes that Bronny's already a better basketball player than his dad.
I've always gotten the feeling that Bronny had a bigger clutch gene than his father does.
So Bronny would play throughout the summer league. He'd have some good moments in the summer league, but he'd also have some pretty terrible moments in the summer league. But ultimately, towards the end, he started to show some promise and actually worked on his game. He would then play in the preseason, and for the most part would get carved up in the preseason until the tail end of the preseason, where he actually dominated in his final game. And this brought us to what Bronny's role was going to be for the Los Angeles Lakers in the regular season, which in JJ Redick's defense, he handled masterfully in the very beginning of the season. Bronny inserted into the Los Angeles Lakers' very first game of the season. They ran a play for him. He shot a three, he clanked it, he got subbed out. And that was the only bit we saw from Bronny until he played versus the Cleveland Cavaliers a few weeks later, which also makes sense because the city of Cleveland is very special to the James family. And after that, the future for Bronny just seemed very strange. If you guys remember, back in the offseason, Bronny said that he wouldn't mind playing in the G League to develop his game. And how could you not mind playing in the G League given the fact that Bronny's a very raw prospect so far? But the thing is, the Los Angeles Lakers had an issue. On one hand, they needed to develop LeBron James' son. On the other hand, LeBron James wanted to be with his son. He wanted his boy to see what it was like to be his teammate. But unfortunately, his son isn't talented enough to play in the NBA. So the Lakers had this very strange proposition that I was very against, because it clearly just didn't put Bronny's needs and Bronny's development at the very top of the priority list, which in my opinion should be the top priority, developing Bronny into a good basketball player. Instead, the Los Angeles Lakers opted for this very strange backwards arrangement where Bronny was going to play in South Bay Lakers home games and he's only going to be a part-time G League player.
From my understanding, he's only going to play in the South Bay Lakers home game. He's only going to kind of be a part-time G League player. I think that's gone too far.
And even Brian Windhorst had a problem with this, but since Brian Windhorst originally got his big break as a result of covering LeBron James, he had to pivot.
What I said, and I'll say again, was that I am totally on board with the whole Bronny James thing with the Lakers. I think it was a smart move to draft him.
Which I can't fault Windy for that. I mean, he really has his hands tied. If he got his big break as a result of Clutch Sports and he needs to peddle to the world what Clutch Sports wants him to say, then it's really out of his control. But I'm sorry to tell you guys, if the goal was to develop Bronny as a basketball player, the plan was stupid. If the plan was just to have Bronny there and be LeBron's little mascot, then it's a great plan. It's funny because in our last video, we actually discussed Bronny's opening games. LeBron and Savannah even showed up to the game with LeBron wearing a shirt that said, "I am the pressure," which is one of the funniest, most ironic, and least self-aware things that LeBron James has ever done. And Bronny crumbled under the pressure in the very beginning. He played terribly in his G League debut a month ago. And honestly, I didn't expect anything less. I mean, one day he's playing in the G League with his teammates. Next, he's being extracted out to go fly with the Los Angeles Lakers to a road game. I mean, it just didn't make much sense. So Bronny scored 4 points off of 2 of 10 shooting from the field and 2 assists in one game. And at the time, his head coach even said that he needed to get consistent reps.
Everything, as we know, it's a fluid situation with the G League, right? The only constant is change. So with all those guys, I don't know who it's going to be. It's about the Lakers' health, and they're the priority, and we adapt from there.
And it seems like finally the Los Angeles Lakers agreed, and everything changed for Bronny as a result. Because Bronny James finally had his big breakout game for the South Bay Lakers, and he looks significantly more confident. I mean, take a look at this play, cutting to the basket for an alley-oop, showcasing a little bit of that James athleticism, hitting this contested mid-range jumper after getting a screen from his teammate, understanding the appropriate times to drive into the paint and get an easy layup, pulling up for a wide open three and sinking it. Over here, his opponent sags off of him once again, so he gets another wide open three. Now, I will admit, the competition doesn't seem to be the fiercest for Bronny in this particular game. I mean, it doesn't really seem like they're defending him so hard, but when you consider the fact that most of us were wondering out loud if Bronny was even going to be able to compete in the G League, this is a huge step forward. And when you consider the fact that this happened in a G League road game, then clearly this is very significant for him. I will admit I am a fairly skeptical human being whenever it comes to analyzing this footage. I mean, tell me what the hell this is. I mean, the defender just gets completely lost in this screen, doesn't defend it properly at all. So yeah, the level of competition is obviously a bit of a concern for me, but regardless, I'm just gonna give him a W. Now look, if he's able to string together a few more performances like this, then there's no question in my mind that he could see himself called up soon. I don't know if something weird went on here. I don't know if this was a game that was just set up for him to score a lot. I don't know if he's actually developing a little bit better. I don't know if the competition is just really that bad in the G League, but I will admit, you can't come out here and say that Bronny isn't good enough to even play in the G League, and then once he has a dominant G League performance, you can't come out and say that, oh, it's just the G League. It's clearly showing that he's improving, and if there's one thing that I will give Bronny some props for, it's the fact that once he gets acclimated to a particular environment, he eventually is capable of giving us a good performance here and there. In this particular case, he clearly did that. Now, could this have been a fluke? Possibly. Do I think it's a fluke? I'm not necessarily sure. We're gonna need a larger sample size, but at the very bare minimum, the Los Angeles Lakers are at least doing right by Bronny. They're not forcing him to leave the G League just so he could ride the bench in Laker road games and cheer on his dad. Which I also wonder if the reason why Bronny has been playing in more G League games recently is because his dad is injured and his dad isn't performing as well. But regardless, I felt like this was worth making a video on for you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this? Do you think Bronny is capable of eventually making it to the NBA? I like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.